keeping your head down, not looking intimidating, and yet someone out there is going to want to attack you just because you look a certain way. Hello everyone, I hope you're all keeping the very best and welcome back to another video. In tonight's video I want to discuss how to defend yourself in the street, in a street fight situation. Now of course, like every other channel that is a boxing channel, a self-defense channel, we're all going to say the same thing. We don't advocate for street violence. It's something you should always be trying to avoid. De-escalation and avoidance is something that you should be putting as your main priority. However, and realistically speaking, that is not always going to be the case. Sometimes you're just not going to have control over them things. Sometimes someone is going to attack you no matter how much you try to de-escalate, avoid, run away. And sometimes you just can't run away. And that is something that I want to put out there. First and foremost, we don't advocate for these things, but these things happen regardless. You could be the shadow that's trying to avoid the fights, going on a night out, keeping your head down, not looking intimidating, and yet someone out there is going to want to attack you just because you look a certain way. You could be the biggest, baddest dog in the room, tattooed up, looking mean, and some little dude is standing over there thinking to himself in front of his mates, if I hit this guy, I'm going to look like the big man. And this happens. I've seen it before, and unfortunately I have been involved in street fight situations many times, and most of the times I try to de-escalate. I don't want to be involved in these situations. However, the experience I'm talking from here is a place of knowledge, is a place of being there myself, and I want to give you the education to help you defend yourself in the street. And nowadays, people are crazy. They don't even have to have a reason to hit you. People are filled up with chemicals, alcohol, and egos, and it is common, and it's becoming more and more common that we're seeing attacks, we're seeing people getting hit, we're seeing people getting mugged, we're seeing people getting stabbed. These things are becoming far too common. So I want to give you some advice when it comes to street fight situations, and maybe some approaches that you may have heard before, or maybe the way I'm explaining it is in a different way. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to start off with is defense. Now, how do you actually defend yourself in the street? So there's a couple approaches that I want to talk about, and that is the do's and don'ts. So the first thing that I see, and I've been here myself, is where someone starts to square up against you, someone starts to posture up, get aggressive, but the first big problem there is you've allowed them to enter into your space. You maybe are standing with your arms folded, hands in the pockets, nervous. You are maybe in a position where you are trying to talk, you are trying to maybe even de-escalate, but that person has got an ego. They've got drugs in their system, they've got alcohol in their system, they've got their mates standing there, and they've got this ego, and they're not listening to what you have to say. They're ready to strike you, and that's the first mistake. You're in that bad position. That bad position to me is standing square on. So square on, no blade in your stance, no recognition of where your hands are supposed to be. Your arms are maybe folded, your hands are maybe in your pockets, and this is a big mistake. You've allowed this person to enter into your space. They are being aggressive, their head's shooting forward. You can see them bleeding up, maybe ready to strike you, and people's reactions aren't that good. And from my experience and being hit myself, where sometimes even as a boxer in a high adrenaline situation, your reactions aren't as good as you may think. So how do you put yourself in a good position where you might want to de-escalate, you still don't want to be aggressive, but you're in a better place to defend yourself? And that is getting your hands up first and foremost. So as a boxer, I'm not advocating you to go and put your hands up like this, because now the person that maybe being aggressive is seeing you as an attacker. They're seeing you with your hands up. They are seeing you that you're ready to fight, and maybe that's not what your goal is here. You're still trying to defend yourself by de-escalation. However, what I want to bring to the table here is, if you come in close range with someone, you're in the danger zone. So what can we do if you're in that danger zone? Well, first and foremost, we want to talk with our hands. So if I am talking to someone face to face and they're squaring up against me and they're roaring and shouting and cursing at me, I don't want to just be standing like this. What I want to be doing is I want to be talking with my hands. Hold on a minute. Let's calm down, calm down. I am instantly in a position where I can get ready to strike. I can get ready to throw a punch. I can also get ready to defend against punches. I have my hands up, so if they do try to sucker punch me, my hands are at least up. Now, this might seem like, well, that's not going to make much of a difference if someone's being super aggressive, but if my hands are here, I'm a clean and open shot. Where if my hands are here already, talking to this person, trying to de-escalate, trying to get my put myself in a position where I may be trying to avoid the aggression completely, at least my hands are up. At least my hands are here ready to go. I'm already one step closer to defending myself. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing is try to get into some sort of stance. Now, if it's a boxing stance, that's fantastic. If you've done wrestling or judo, they're not too far off. They're kind of bladed stances. You're blading your body, and that means if you've got your big back hand, you're ready to strike it immediately. So if someone's coming in, close presence, get your hands up. Start talking with your hands. So that's the first thing. Start talking with your hands. Hold on a minute. Listen, I don't want to get into a fight here. There's no reason I want to be in a fight with you. And boom, you're getting ready to strike. Now, the next phase that we're going to be talking about here is looking at someone's body language. How aggressive are they being? Now, the first line of defense is attack. I'm not going to wait for someone to get the first shot on me. If I feel this person is becoming too aggressive, if I feel I am in a good position to strike this person, and I believe that this person is going to strike me first because their intentions, they're blading up, they're squaring up to me, they are saying things that I believe is going to be aggressive, well then I'm not going to take that risk, because nowadays someone could hit me a shot, I could hit my head off the curb, and I could be in a bad place. So I'm not going to allow myself to be in that position. So the first thing I'm going to be thinking about doing is reading the room. I'm seeing how aggressive this person is going to be to me, what they are bringing to the table, and therefore I'm going to land the first shot. So now that that's out of the road, we're going to be talking about your environment. So the space that you are fighting in. As a boxer, as someone that's performed in judo myself, you're used to being in the ring. You're used to having a referee there. You're used to having rules. In the street, there is no rules. There's no referee going to be jumping in, and there's probably going to be not too many people wanting to save you. So we have to think about that. Your environment is really important. So if I am in a space where there's not too many people around, I may want to use some boxing techniques by moving my feet, letting someone swing and someone miss by moving my feet, keeping my hands up, letting them tire out. That's one way to think about it. However, if I am in a bar, a nightclub, I'm standing up against a wall, there's people around me, and someone approaches me, I may not have the opportunities to move. So when it comes to fighting, we're talking about the green zone, the red zone, the danger zone, the safe zone. So typically speaking, when I'm out here and there is a void and the person is beyond this arm length here, I would call that the green zone. But in a matter of split seconds, that can become the red zone, that can become the danger zone. So I have to think about that. So it's either get far or get close to minimize the dangers that's going to happen. So if someone is going to fight against me in a bar or in a situation, I may want to close the space a lot faster. Sometimes a punch is not always going to be your best option. It may have to be an elbow. It may have to be you're going for a takedown. You're doing some judo technique to try to get close to this person. Try to avoid being caught with something that's going to be coming from a place of a lot of kinetic energy. And that's why learning grappling is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to say this here from a biased perspective, and I've done a bit of BJJ myself. I haven't done too much wrestling, however, I have performed and competed in judo, and judo is absolutely fantastic. The couple of reasons I believe judo is fantastic for street fighting self-defense is that you're learning to mostly focus on balance. When it comes to balance on the street, being off balance is the last place you want to be. If someone pulls you and throws you over and you have no balance whatsoever, you're going to end up on the ground, and this isn't a good place you want to be. And even if you know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you may be lying on your back, you also may be on top of this person and now their mate jumps in. Whereas with wrestling and judo and takedown grappling specifically, you're focusing on getting that person to the ground, maybe not following through completely where you end up on the ground, but putting them to the ground. So now you're taking away their kinetic energy, you're taking away all that leg strength, and you're putting them onto the ground, maybe coming in with a strike, so on, so forth. Judo is a fantastic way to learn about gripping, learning about getting roughed around, getting scruffed about, and that's what I believe judo brings to the table. So when it comes to street fight self-defense, you want to learn some striking. So it could be Muay Thai, it could be boxing. You want to learn how to physically hurt someone with your hands, your elbows, and these kind of limbs, okay? Now when it comes to grappling, like I says, BJJ is fantastic, it's good for submissions, but in my opinion, I would go more towards judo. I would go more towards wrestling techniques where I'm trying to just put the person to the ground and finish the job a lot quicker. Something as simple as a sweep or a sotogari or something like that there can be super effective against someone that's being really aggressive. Again, even just off balancing techniques, someone goes to put their hands on you and you're able to throw them off balance, sweep them, turn them, manipulate their position. This is something that's going to be really good. And like it says when I started talking there about your surroundings, you either get far or get close. If I'm in a bar situation and I need to come in with an elbow and in a judo technique, this is going to be something that's going to favour me if I'm in a close situation. If I'm in a position where I have a lot more space now, I can use my striking techniques, I can use posture, I can frame with my jab. If someone tries to come in aggressive, step back, okay? I can use what I have a lot better if I have more space. If I don't have as much space, I have to get closer, and that means I have to learn some form of grappling. I have to learn how not to be taken down. So when it comes to street fight self-defense, like I says, the main takeaways here is that you focus on learning actually how to strike. So whether that's boxing, Muay Thai, there's many other sports out there, but they're the two ones that I believe are going to give you the best striking abilities, especially with the elbow, especially with the punching. I'm more interested in the hand striking, the elbow striking. I'm not disagreeing with kicks. However, sometimes if you go for a head kick high in the street or something like a leg kick, you're maybe putting yourself off balance. If it's a rainy night or the ground is wet, any time where you lift your legs off the ground might not be the best for the street situation. Now, as well as that, what I want to say is that learning some form of grappling, like I says, I would favour more grappling techniques that allow me to focus on the emphasis of throws, the emphasis of not being taken down. I'm not saying that BJJ won't work in the street, it will, but realistically speaking, I don't want to be on the ground in a street fight. I don't want to be on my back, and I don't maybe even want to be on top, because like I says, I have to worry about other aspects. Someone coming in, maybe their friend coming in and striking me, and this is maybe not a place I want to be. If it does come to a position where I have no other option, I am on the ground with someone brutally strong, then of course BJJ techniques is going to be amazing. I just believe personally that you should be building the base through your grappling stand-up, so your judo techniques, your takedown defenses, and stuff that's going to eliminate you from being on the ground in the first place. So boxing, Muay Thai, judo, wrestling, BJJ, grappling in general is going to be fantastic. Takeaways again is, you get far, you get close. Another takeaway from tonight's video is the fact that we need to learn to talk with our hands. Get our hands up, position yourself ready to go, bleed your stance, make yourself already in tune with what's going on. If my hands are here, my arms are here, it's not going to be good. So think about that first and foremost. If you need to attack first, you may say to yourself, well, if I attack first, I'm seen as the person that's initiated the fight. However, if you're in a position where the aggression is getting too much and you need to eliminate this person as fast and as hard as you can, well, then you need to defend yourself. And that way you have to attack by defending yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been a bit different from my usual boxing content, but I feel it's very relevant in today's society and the world that we're living in. Again, I want to emphasize this here. I don't advocate for violence. I want to avoid being in street fight situations, and your likelihood of being successful in the street is very limited in general. Even if I win, it's not really a win. There's nothing gained much out of it. Try to avoid it as best we can. You're only as tough as the next guy around the corner. I myself could personally go out there on any given night and get knocked cold in the street. I could get sucker punched, I could get outnumbered, I could get caught with something stupid, I could throw a punch, break my hand. These things are possible in the street. However, if it comes to a situation where you cannot avoid it, well then these techniques, this information that I'm providing tonight will help give you some strategy, some thought process going into the situation that you may be involved in. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.